more than 190 countries have agreed to a new treaty to combat so-called biopiracy at UN talks in Switzerland. The landmark deal aims to stop the practice that sees big companies use patents to lock up natural resources, often exploiting the traditional knowledge of poorer nations and Indigenous peoples. The agreement comes after years of negotiations. Developing countries have long been calling for more protections for their genetic resources, like medicinal plants. And for more, I'm joined now in the studio by DW reporter Ben Dorman. Ben, first and foremost, for all of us lay people out there, what actually is biopiracy?
Well, it's a term coined by activists to refer to what they see as the pillaging of kind of indigenous knowledge by these big corporations, often from the developed world. So when companies are developing new products, whether that's face creams or pesticides or new drugs, they often look to the natural world for inspiration. So they're sending researchers out to scour often poorer countries where there's higher biodiversity to look for whatever they can find to create new products. And they're often relying there on traditional knowledge, on indigenous communities to point them, to guide them in the right direction. But what they're doing with biopiracy is once they've got this product that they're creating a new innovation, so to speak, they're then seeking patent protection for it. So they want the exclusive right to exploit it in this way. But what they're not doing is acknowledging their kind of debt of the traditional knowledge they're leaning on, and they're not respecting the kind of birth of this. They're fronting it off as purely their own development.
And can you give us an example of a particularly famous case of biopiracy?
Yep, probably one of the most famous involves the neem tree. So this is a tree that's native to India, but it grows in dozens of other countries around the world as well. Indian farmers have used it for thousands of years to fend off insects, to combat diseases with plants and such. It's been passed down, that knowledge, from generation to generation. No one ever thought you needed to get a patent to protect you for this. However, back in 1995, an American company managed to secure a patent for a fungicide it had developed based off of this plant. It then took a decade in court for the Indian government to get this patent thrown out on obviously the grounds that this is not an innovation. This is something which you have developed without acknowledging hundreds of years of Indian traditional knowledge and experience.
So it definitely sounds like this UN treaty has come at the right time. Do you think it will actually change anything?
And that's a very good question. One would hope so. It's been in the works for a very long time. The idea here is that it's going to make it so the whole process a lot more transparent. So when you're applying for a patent, you won't just be able to say, oh, I came up with this myself. You're going to have to say, this is the source of the genetic material I'm talking about, and these are the indigenous peoples who pointed us in the right direction to come up with this idea. And if you don't, there's going to be sanctions in theory. Now, what this is hoped this will do is kind of open the door for more recognition for these indigenous communities, for their safeguarding of these plants, for like the neem tree, and that could also open the door for them to even get compensation, licensing, so it's not just a matter of big, wealthy corporations exploiting the resources of the developing world without acknowledgement or financial gain.
Ben Dorman, thank you so much for breaking that down for us.
Thank you.